I don't usually do this, but I'm going to do a reaction video to Dave Chappelle's opening monologue at Saturday Night Live last Saturday. I find it fascinating on many different levels, and I will leave the link to those of you who just want to watch the entire monologue uninterrupted. I find it really ridiculous, but always when I record videos like this where I'm responding to something where I'm stopping and starting, I have some people complaining like, "Just let him talk! Stop interrupting!" No, well, this is a response video, so that's what you get. But if you want to just hear it uninterrupted, go to the link below, or just look it up yourself. Now, what I find so interesting about this monologue is a couple of things. First of all, Chappelle, I believe, is someone who, unlike Kanye West, well, like and unlike Kanye West, has made some. He's an independent-minded person who came up against the system and who made some compromises. It seems to me that somewhere along the way he made some compromises to sort of carve out a niche for himself where he can sort of still be himself, but he is, I think, on some level compromised because you don't just survive, in the biz, uh, saying things that you're not supposed to say without making some kind of compromise, as Kanye has seen lately when he's has now he's refusing to compromise. Now he's absolutely putting his foot down. Chappelle several years ago had a breaking point the with the system, with the those in control, those who were running things. And for a time, it just seemed like he was going to be gone for good. But then he, I guess, wanted to come back, and he must have negotiated something. Now, that doesn't mean that he's not still controversial, and that doesn't mean he's avoided having people, coming after him, wanting to cancel him. Uh, uh, Absolutely, I don't mean to deny that at all, and I don't mean to say that he's not still, to a large extent, independent-minded, as you will see in a minute. Now, what I've been told about this video is that he actually, in practice, did a different monologue uh, because he thought that if he performed this monologue during rehearsal, that the NBC people would say no, we don't want this. So he did something else. At least this is what I've heard. This is what is being whispered. He did an entirely different opening monologue, and then came back. When he actually went live, he performed this. Now, I'm not going to do. It's 15 minutes long. Most of the time, they don't let them have that much time. But then he is Dave Chappelle, so he does. He makes the most of all the time that he has, and he's given a lot of time. But I'm just going to cover the first few minutes when he's focusing on Kanye West, and then I want to skip to the end because there's a really delightful moment at the end as well. So let's begin. Okay, look at that. First of all, look at the kind of reaction he's getting. The media is screaming about how he should stop. They're painting him as transphobic, quote unquote, and everything. But the crowd loves him already. That's interesting.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being here. But before I start tonight, I just wanted to read a brief statement that I prepared. I denounce anti-Semitism in all its forms. And I stand with my friends in the Jewish community. And that, Kanye, is how you buy yourself some time.
Now, it's fun. some of this is obvious, but it's funny how he says that's how you buy yourself some time. You know, the easier, cheap kind of thing to do would have been to say, and that, Kanye, is what you say. That is what you should have said, and that would probably get him applause. But if he said something like that, he would just be a coward. He would just be parroting what they want him to say. You have people, the celebrity cowards like Reese Witherspoon and Kim Kardashian and others, going up tweeting these rote kind of virtue signaling. I denounce anti-Semitism in all its forms. Blah blah blah. Here, by reading this official statement and then sort of making this cynical remark after it, for number one, it's funny. It's funnier that way. It's funny at all that way. And number two, it exposes the empty virtue signaling that these other celebrities are doing. So bravo for that. And people like it. People are laughing and clapping.
I gotta tell you guys, I've probably been doing this 35 years now. And early in my career, I learned that there are two words in the English language that you should never say together in sequence. And those words are the and Jews. I've never heard someone do good after they said that. Kanye's got into some scrapes before. Normally when he's in trouble, I pull up immediately. But this time I was like, you know what? Let me see what's going to happen first.
All right, so a little bit of self-effacement there. That he knows this is a big deal. But this is also, and maybe you can call this, selling out, or maybe you could just call it being clever. I think Chapelle wants to work within the system, but it's a balancing act. He wants to work within the system, but he also wants to be able to critique the system and say things that will outrage people. And so, he admits there by that statement, most of the time I pull right up, but this time I decided, I'd give it a little time, because he knows this is a really, really hot situation. He doesn't want to, immediately go running in to defend Kanye, even though that's ultimately what he does here in a subtle kind of roundabout way, as you'll see.
Let's see where this all going. I can't even remember how it started. Vaguely, I remember it started with a tweet, strange tweet. It was like, I'm feeling a little sleepy. I'm gonna give me some rest, but when I wake up, I'm gonna go DEFCON 3 on the Jews. And then he just went to bed. I was up all night worried. What is he gonna do to the Jews?
This is I'm laughing sincerely. This is like the third or fourth time I've seen it, and I'm still laughing. Just wanted to say that tells you something. Anyway.
I grew up around Jewish people. I have a lot of Jewish friends, so I'm not freaked out by your culture. I know a little bit about it just from hanging around. I'd be like, yo, let's go out at school tomorrow. They'd be like, we can't go out. It's Shana Na tomorrow. I'd be like, where? What is Shana Na? I had so many questions. Why do some of your people dress like Run DMC? Kanye woke up from that nap, he went right to work. A year ago, I'd seen him on a podcast called Drink Champs. Great show. And it was an amazing appearance. Noriega and them were there, the rappers that I love, and they all had their gold chains and stuff on. And Kanye said, "Only millionaires wear chains." They said, "What?" He said, "I'm a billionaire. Billionaires don't wear their money on their body." I took my chain and I said, "Oh snap!"
So once again, self effacement. Acknowledgement that on some level, he's compromised. Or that he's not the kind of bold speaker that Kanye West is. He'll he'll be intimidated enough when he hears Kanye say something like that that he wants to actually. Instead of challenging him, he'll actually tuck in his chain to be one of the to not appear like a paltry millionaire, but instead be a billionaire. Anyway, self effacement is interesting.
It was good appearance. It was fun and funny. But when he woke up, he went on Drink Champs again. This time, he was on one. He was mad about something. He said, "I can say anti-Semitic things, and Adidas can't drop me." Now what? Adidas dropped that nigga immediately.
Now, when he says, what happened after Kanye, made his bold proclamation, and how they dropped him immediately. It's interesting because he's saying it in a way that's sympathetic by using that word. By describing Kanye as that nigga, they dropped him immediately. He's showing solidarity in a subtle way, by saying that he was wrong and that he underestimated how expendable he was to those who run the system. Now watch what he says next.
Ironically, Adidas was founded by Nazis, and they were offended. I guess the student surpassed the teacher.
So that's interesting. Like he introduces this fact. He introduces the fact that Adidas, apparently I didn't know this, but I'm taking him at his word that Adidas was started by Nazis, and they were offended, and so the student has surpassed the teacher. This through comedy, he's exposing their hypocrisy and again exposing the emptiness of virtue signaling gestures like we are dropping Kanye West because we cannot tolerate his bigotry and blah blah blah.
It's a big deal. He had broken the show business rules. There's just a rule, the rules of perception. If they're black, then it's a gang. If they're Italian, it's a mob. But if they're Jewish, it's a coincidence, and you should never speak about it.
Now that's bold. I mean, you give the guy credit. He's saying, that we're not supposed to notice when people of a certain ethnicity work in concert to do bad things. We're just supposed to say, "Oh, that's just a coincidence." But he again he says it by comparing it to how Italians are talked about or how blacks are talked about. And again, it's genuinely funny, but also it's really insightful and really bold. What he ultimately is saying is really bold, that we're not allowed to notice or mention what we notice about certain people. But again, it's leavened through humor brilliantly.
Kanye got in so much trouble, Kyrie got in trouble.
Speaking of Kyrie Irving, the basketball player, NBA player.
Kyrie Irving posted a link to a movie that he had seen on Amazon. No caption on the post or nothing like that. But apparently this movie had some, I don't know, anti-Semitic tropes or something. It was some weird title like From Hebrew to Negro or something. And the NBA told me he should apologize, and he was slow to apologize. And then the list of demands to get back in their good graces got longer and longer, and this is where, I draw the line. I know the Jewish people have been through terrible things all over the world, but you can't blame that on black Americans. You just can't. You know what I mean? Thanks to the one person that said a fair punishment would be you should just post a link to Schindler's List and y'all write your own captions. Kyrie Irving's black ass was nowhere near the Holocaust. In fact, he's not even certain it existed.
Okay, now in saying that, making reference, I didn't know this about Kyrie Irving. But in making that, he makes that observation in the midst of speaking sympathetically about Kyrie Irving and speaking sympathetically about his situation, as we'll see. So there's something that subverts the how we're supposed to talk about so-called Holocaust deniers. That in the midst of expressing compassion and for Kyrie and saying that he got a raw, he's being given a raw deal. He talks about how he isn't even sure that it happened, that the Holocaust happened, which again is a clever and subtle way of introducing sympathy for somebody that we would normally be told we were not supposed to sympathize with.
I saw one news pundit screaming about Kanye. She said, mental health is no excuse for that type of language. Yes, it is, bitch. You can kill somebody if you're mentally ill. Listen, okay, I don't think Kanye is crazy at all. I think he's possibly not well. Well, I've been to Hollywood. I don't want y'all to get mad at me. I'm just telling you. I've been to Hollywood. This was just what I saw. It's a lot of Jews. Like a lot.
Look at how his eyes darted back and forth, like, ooh, should I really be saying this? And then before he delivers this line, which again, he's touching something that we're not supposed to touch. He's observing something that we are not supposed to observe. But he goes on interestingly from there. Let's see what he says next.
But that doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? There's a lot of black people in Ferguson, Missouri. Doesn't mean we run the place.
Now, he says that there's a lot of black people in Ferguson, Missouri. That doesn't mean we run the place. Just because there are a lot of Jews in Hollywood doesn't mean they run the place. But as we'll see by what he says next, he actually knows better. Okay? So people clap for that line, but
I could see if you had some kind of issue, you know what I mean? You might go out to Hollywood and your mind might start connecting some kind of lines, and you could maybe adopt the delusion that the Jews run show business. It's not a crazy thing to think, but it's a crazy thing to say out loud in a climate like this.
Okay, so wow. And I'm going to stop here. Maybe I'll continue, because I think there's a few more interesting things that he says on the Kanye situation. But, I mean, look at, just consider what he's saying through comedy here. He's saying it's not a crazy thing at all to think that Jews run Hollywood. But it's a crazy thing to say out loud. What is he basically saying there? He's saying Kanye told the truth about about the power of this particular ethnic group in this particular venue, this particular structure of power that is Hollywood. But you're not supposed to say it. You can notice it, but you're not supposed to say it. You're not supposed to say it out loud. And people laugh because they know that it's true. The laughter is an acknowledgement that what he's saying is true. So it's a rather brilliant, balancing act that Chapelle does here. And I think I will end there because I don't want this to go too much longer. But maybe I'll do a part 2. We'll see. Thanks for watching.